Hi, good afternoon. Monica, does this work?
Good afternoon, Mr. Alan. Your
Hi, good afternoon.
virtual background is just good.
Okay, so I'll come back in about 20 minutes.
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, is that okay?
Yeah.
I just wanted to check that it works okay. Good to see you too.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Hi, Maddie. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Alan.
Oh,
Good
nice to see
afternoon.
you.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Komprehensif.
Halo, Pak.
Instruktur yang terjaga kompetensinya, berpengalaman, dan tentu saja
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore dan selamat datang kembali dalam acara IAI APAFest 2020 webinar series. Pada kesempatan kali ini saya ingin menyapa dulu yang terhormat Menteri Badan Usaha Milik Negara Republik Indonesia Bapak Erick Thohir, lalu Ketua DPN IAI Bapak Profesor Mardiasmo, lalu juga ada Bapak Hans Kartika Hadi dan ada Bapak Ahmadi Hadi Broto. Juga kepada anggota DPN IAI, Ibu Lindawati Gani, dan Direktur Eksekutif IAI, Ibu Elizarni Husin, dan pastinya teman-teman mahasiswa akuntansi di seluruh Indonesia, dan peserta APACEM 2020 yang harap-harap cemas menanti pengumuman semifinalis. Jangan kemana-mana, tetap bersama kami ya. Setiap minggunya IAI APAFest 2020 webinar series menyajikan topik yang berbeda. Dan semuanya sangat-sangat menarik. Spesial pada kesempatan kali ini, edisinya adalah Global Accountant Edition with BUMN and IFAC. Jadi kita akan kedatangan tamu yang cukup menarik, cukup luar biasa, yaitu Deputi Presidennya IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson, dan juga Menteri BUMN Republik Indonesia, Bapak Erick Thohir, yang akan memberikan pesannya kepada teman-teman semua akuntan Indonesia dimanapun kalian berada. Tidak lupa kami juga ingin mengingatkan bahwa acara APAFest ini rangkaiannya banyak sekali, nggak cuma ada webinar, tapi kita juga punya berbagai aktivitas dan perlombaan untuk lomba accounting dan bisnis APACEM 2020 yang pengumuman semifinalisnya akan kita umumkan sore hari ini, lalu juga National APA Award. Untuk mahasiswa terbaik, ada lomba video, Hima Challenge, terus juga ada lomba cover song competition untuk bernyanyi, terus juga ada beasiswa CA dan career fair. Jadi lengkap sekali, teman-teman jangan sampai ketinggalan. Dan pada puncaknya, IAI APAFest akan berkolaborasi dengan Finbiz 2030 yang diselenggarakan oleh One Young World dan Chartered Accountant Worldwide, yaitu acara dengan tema Better Leadership, a Better Future, tanggal 10 November 2020. Jadi teman-teman jangan kemana-mana, jangan sampai ketinggalan. Dan untuk mengawali aktivitas kita pada sore hari ini, marilah bersama kita saksikan video profil IAI.
Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, Akuntan Profesional Unggul, Indonesia Maju. Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia, IAI, telah berkiprah mendukung pembangunan SDM dan transformasi ekonomi Indonesia.
Akuntan memiliki peran penting dalam pembangunan nasional yang berkesinambungan.
Profesi akuntan mendukung upaya peningkatan profesionalisme SDM Indonesia agar bisa optimal berkarya mendukung pembangunan ekonomi yang efisien dan transparan. Melalui Prakarsa 6.1 yang telah ditetapkan sebagai program umum Dewan Pengurus Nasional IAI periode 2018-2022, IAI siap berkarya mengawal perekonomian bangsa ini menuju Indonesia Emas 2045.
Saya sangat mendukung rencana IAI untuk mempercepat program sertifikasi agar para akuntan di negara kita memiliki kreativitas, inovasi, keterampilan, dan memiliki daya saing, dan sekali lagi dalam rangka mendukung pengembangan ekosistem kita yang lebih akuntabel, lebih efisien, goal-oriented, dan inovatif.
Tanggung jawab itu terwujud melalui Chartered Accountant Indonesia sebagai identitas akuntan profesional Indonesia dan telah mendapat pengakuan kualitas secara global. Prakarsa 6.1 berisi 6 langkah aksi dengan satu tujuan strategis untuk memperkuat peran IAI dalam meningkatkan kepercayaan masyarakat terhadap entitas bisnis dan publik dengan menyiapkan akuntan profesional berintegritas siap menghadapi masa depan. IAI melaksanakan tugas dan tanggung jawabnya menyusun standar akuntansi keuangan dan standar profesi, melaksanakan ujian sertifikasi, serta aktivitas keprofesian lain mengacu kepada International Federation of Accountants dan Chartered Accountant Worldwide. IAI for Society dijalankan untuk memberikan manfaat yang semakin besar bagi masyarakat serta untuk mendekatkan profesi kepada publik. Founding Fathers IAI telah menetapkan 2 tujuan pendirian IAI. IAI dibangun untuk mempertinggi mutu pendidikan akuntan dan meningkatkan kualitas pekerjaan akuntan Indonesia. IAI menguasai perubahan, menyiapkan masa depan.
Kita mengawali acara kita pada sore hari ini dengan pesan-pesan yang disampaikan oleh Bapak Presiden Joko Widodo. Dan sesi berikutnya adalah agenda kita untuk mendengarkan bersama sambutan dari Direktur Eksekutif IAI, Ibu Eli Zarni Husin. Ibu Eli, kami persilahkan.
Baik, terima kasih Monique. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Puji syukur kehadirat Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala atas rahmat dan karunia-Nya. Hari ini kita dapat bertemu kembali dalam webinar series Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival (APAFES) 2020 secara virtual pada tanggal 28 Oktober bertepatan dengan Hari Peringatan Sumpah Pemuda. Hari ini akuntan profesional Indonesia memperingati Hari Sumpah Pemuda dengan bersatu padu, memperluas cakrawala, siap menghadapi perubahan, untuk menguasai masa depan. Seperti tema dan slogan APAFES kita, Scanning Horizon, Embracing the Future, Proud to be an Accountant. Aspiring Professional Accountant adalah istilah yang digunakan oleh International Federation of Accountants untuk mendefinisikan calon akuntan profesional yang melalui proses pembelajaran dan pengembangan agar memiliki kompetensi sehingga dapat menjalankan perannya sebagai seorang akuntan profesional. Diwarnai semangat Sumpah Pemuda hari ini, kita menyadari kualitas dan kuantitas aspiring professional accountant menjadi titik sentral untuk menentukan masa depan profesi, demi mewujudkan profesi yang lebih baik, berkontribusi untuk negeri, dan untuk mewujudkan dunia yang lebih baik. Bapak Ibu peserta sekalian, adik-adik mahasiswa akuntansi anggota muda yang hadir hari ini, bersiap untuk meraih kesuksesannya, menyusun rencana untuk nanti setelah menyelesaikan pendidikannya, bergabung menjadi anggota utama IAI pemegang CA Indonesia, menambah kuantitas 30.000 akuntan profesional Indonesia untuk menjadi bagian dari komunitas akuntan global yang saat ini berjumlah 3 juta akuntan sedunia anggota IFAC, yang berasal dari 179 asosiasi profesi akuntan dari 130 negara. Bergabung dengan 1,8 juta akuntan pemegang sebutan Chartered Accountant sedunia, anggota dari Chartered Accountant Worldwide, dan bergabung dengan 203.000 akuntan ASEAN dalam ASEAN Federation of Accountants. Bapak, Ibu, dan adik-adik mahasiswa yang kami banggakan, para peserta APACEM dari seluruh Indonesia tentu sudah tidak sabar menunggu pengumuman semifinalis yang nanti akan kita sampaikan. Mereka siap berkompetisi pada babak berikutnya untuk menjadi yang terbaik. APACEM adalah kompetisi yang dirancang untuk mempersiapkan mahasiswa akuntansi untuk menjadi akuntan profesional masa depan yang akan terlibat dalam pemahaman lingkungan bisnis, pengambilan keputusan strategis, dan pengembangan profesi akuntansi sejak dini. Sebagai gambaran, peserta kompetisi diberi kasus bisnis yang dikerjakan dalam waktu 1 jam, lalu diminta untuk mempresentasikan kepada Dewan Juri dalam bahasa Inggris dengan durasi 10 menit. Kompetisi ini menantang para mahasiswa untuk lebih terorganisir, proaktif, dan mampu berpikir outside the box dalam rangka mempersiapkan diri menjadi business leader di masa depan. Kasus bisnis yang disampaikan sesuai dengan posisi CA yang dicanangkan IAI, yaitu CA sebagai Leaders in Accountancy, Business, and Finance. Selain APACEM, mahasiswa juga dapat mengikuti pemilihan mahasiswa berprestasi akuntansi untuk memperebutkan National APA Award, mengirim paper untuk berlomba pada APA Best Paper, membuat video edukasi profesi atau promosi kegiatan HIMA, kompetisi cover song akuntan mengabdi, mengikuti virtual career fair, dan seleksi beasiswa CA pada rangkaian acara APA Fest. Semua rangkaian acara dan kompetisi dirancang untuk memberi gambaran agar mahasiswa akuntansi siap menjadi CA Indonesia yang memiliki kapabilitas dan kompetensi dalam mengelola sistem pelaporan, yang menghasilkan laporan keuangan dan laporan lainnya yang bernilai tinggi, tentunya sesuai dengan prinsip tata kelola, etika profesional, dan integritas. Seorang CA Indonesia juga memiliki kapabilitas dan kompetensi dalam pengambilan keputusan bisnis dengan mempertimbangkan dinamika lingkungan bisnis global. Sebagai anggota Chartered Accountant Worldwide, IAI mendukung brand baru yang dicanangkan, CA is a difference maker. Sebagai difference maker, CA menjadi agent of change dan berkontribusi kepada organisasi dan lingkungannya, terutama dalam situasi yang berubah dengan sangat cepat. Seorang akuntan empower with the unique skills dengan keahlian dan profesionalismenya, memandu pengambilan keputusan bisnis, memberi nilai tambah yang menciptakan perekonomian dan lingkungan yang lebih baik. Kompetisi bisnis APACEM mempersiapkan calon akuntan profesional menjadi difference maker, menjadi trusted advisor, karena akuntan harus beradaptasi dengan perubahan dan teknologi baru, memiliki pendekatan baru dalam memberi advice bisnis, dan tidak cukup dengan kemampuan teknis. Akuntan berperan mentransformasi proses bisnis dengan skill yang dimiliki. Terlebih saat ini dunia bisnis memperbaharui indikator nilai tambah seorang akuntan bagi kesuksesan bisnis jangka panjang mereka. Misalnya ketika kita bicara transformasi digital, ada istilah baru, the future become yesterday. Bayangkan betapa cepat perubahan yang terjadi. Menjadi esensial bagi seorang akuntan untuk menguasai change management, kemampuan untuk mengantisipasi, merespon, beradaptasi terhadap perubahan. Akuntan harus dapat menunjukkan dirinya sebagai partner strategis, problem solver, dan agen perubahan. Untuk tetap relevan, akuntan tidak hanya menghasilkan angka, mereka menjadi seorang yang menyampaikan makna di balik angka tersebut, dan memberi advice, solusi yang dibutuhkan dalam prosesnya. Akuntan menjadi mitra kunci dalam setiap aspek kehidupan suatu organisasi. Apalagi dalam situasi sulit di era pandemi seperti sekarang, akuntan ditantang untuk memberi nilai tambah dan merubah bisnis masa depan. Betapa pentingnya investasi profesi kepada generasi akuntan masa depan, sehingga IAI sejak 4 tahun lalu melaksanakan APA Fest, melengkapi para mahasiswa dengan pengalaman interaksi bersama praktisi, memberi inspirasi dan mencari bibit terbaik berprestasi di profesi ini, sehingga kita bisa menyatukan para akuntan muda dalam komunitas yang secara rutin berinteraksi dengan profesi untuk mengedukasi dan mempersiapkan generasi akuntan masa depan. IAI menginisiasi Prakasa 6.1 untuk memastikan akuntan siap sebagai agent of trust penjaga integritas laporan keuangan. Hadirin sekalian, sebagai penutup, saya ingin mengutip apa yang disampaikan oleh Warren Buffett. Lihatlah 3 hal dalam diri seseorang, intelligence, energi, dan integrity. Jika seseorang tidak memiliki yang terakhir, maka tidak perlu kita mempedulikan yang lainnya. Jadi kami ingin berpesan kepada seluruh akuntan muda Indonesia yang hadir hari ini, agar memastikan diri dapat melengkapi intelijensia dan energinya sebagai generasi penerus profesi dengan integritas. Jadilah seorang akuntan profesional berintegritas yang memiliki cakrawala dan pandangan luas, siap menentukan kesuksesan dan berani menyongsong masa depan. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Ibu Eli atas pesan-pesannya kepada seluruh aspiring accountants Indonesia dan dimanapun mereka berada. Baik, teman-teman hadirin akuntan muda sekalian, kita masuk ke agenda kita berikutnya, yaitu sharing session dengan salah satu tokoh akuntan yang sudah tidak asing lagi. Beliau merupakan anggota DPN IAI, juga merupakan guru besar. Beliau adalah Profesor Lindawati Gani. Sebelum kita mulai, izinkan saya membaca CV singkat dari Ibu Profesor Lindawati Gani. Profesor Lindawati Gani adalah guru besar ilmu akuntansi Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis Universitas Indonesia. Beliau adalah anggota DPN IAI periode 2014-2023, sekaligus mewakili IAI sebagai anggota Accountancy Monitoring Committee Indonesia dan anggota Komite Profesi Akuntan Publik. Beliau meraih gelar sarjana dari Universitas Airlangga dan gelar MBA di bidang Strategic Management and General Management dari Institut Pengembangan Manajemen Indonesia, afiliasi dengan Harvard Business School. Beliau juga meraih gelar Master di bidang Ilmu Manajemen dan gelar Doktor dari FEUI. Beliau duduk sebagai Technical Advisor of International Accounting Education Standard Board International Federation of Accountants or IFAC pada tahun 2015 sampai tahun 2019 dan juga pada saat ini menjadi membership Committee IFAC sejak tahun 2019 sampai sekarang. Beliau juga Council Member of ASEAN Federation of Accountants atau AFA dan juga aktif di Chartered Accountant Worldwide. Sudah lengkap sekali, izinkan saya sekarang menyapa Profesor Linda. Apa kabar Profesor Linda? Selamat sore.
Selamat sore Monik.
Apa kabar Ibu?
Semoga Monik juga demikian.
Baik-baik saja. Di masa pandemi ini semoga tetap bersemangat dan bisa sharing banyak nih ke teman-teman akuntan Indonesia seluruhnya. Aku mau tanya-tanya nih Prof sama Profesor Linda. Mohon nanti kita bisa sharing ya kepada teman-teman semua. Yang pertama, karena kita lagi ada di dalam masa pandemi nih COVID-19, pertanyaan pertama yang mau aku tanyakan kepada Prof Linda adalah sebagai DPN IAI, Profesor Linda anggota DPN IAI, dan Komite Keanggotaan IFAC, bagaimana Ibu melihat upaya pengembangan profesi akuntan dalam konteks perbaikan ekonomi pasca pandemi COVID-19?
Oke, kalau kita lihat kondisi di Indonesia ini tidak berbeda jauh dengan yang dihadapin oleh dunia. Jadi ekonomi kita sangat berdampak oleh pandemi COVID-19 ini. Dan kita semua sedang menghadapi tantangan baru dan perubahan landscape ekonomi pasca pandemi COVID ini, Mbak Monik. Jadi kalau kita lihat adopsi teknologi dan digital itu dipercepat dengan kondisi yang kita hadapin ini. Sehingga saat ini akuntan sudah harus membiasakan diri dengan platform yang berbasis teknologi. Karena platform inilah yang menjadi platform utama kita dalam bekerja dan beraktivitas. Jadi akuntan dengan berbagai macam skill set-nya yang harus dimiliki, juga harus selalu menjaga governance dari platform teknologi yang dipakai bersama ini, yaitu supaya menjaga transparansi dan akuntabilitas ekonomi. Jadi di sini profesi di lain sisi harus menjadi enabler dalam proses transformasi ini. Jadi seperti kita ketahui bersama, IAI melalui Prakarsa 6.1-nya semestinya telah mempersiapkan diri dan anggotanya untuk mengantisipasi perkembangan teknologi dan globalisasi ini. Jadi di sini berdasarkan Prakarsa 6.1 itu menjadi acuan bagi profesi untuk nantinya berkiprah lebih optimal dalam perekonomian yang dinamis di masa depan. wabarakatuh. Kemudian kita juga lihat atau tahu bahwa tema dari APAFES ini adalah Scanning the Horizon, Embracing the Future. Itu sangatlah tepat di tahun 2020 ini karena mencerminkan semangat IAI untuk menjadi leader dalam upaya membangkitkan kembali perekonomian negeri ini. Jadi tidak hanya untuk keluar dari krisis pasca pandemi, tetapi juga untuk membantu negara kita ini keluar dari middle income trap dan menjadi negara maju seperti yang kita cita-citakan bersama.
Jadi udah benar ya Bu ya kalau IAI mengusung tema Scanning the Horizon, Embracing the Future untuk APAFES 2020 ini ya. Semoga teman-teman bisa bersiap untuk masa depannya yang lebih baik lagi. Nah, pertanyaan berikutnya yang mau aku sampaikan ke Profesor Linda. Bagaimana sih caranya IAI menjaga profesionalisme akuntan Indonesia?
Oke. Jadi sebagai asosiasi profesi, itu IAI menerbitkan kode etik dan standar profesi yang harus dipatuhi dalam menjadi panduan akuntan Indonesia dalam bekerja. Nah, para profesional dan aspiring professional accountant di Indonesia ini sudah harus membiasakan diri untuk taat dan mengikuti pedoman ini. Jadi dalam rangka untuk membangun track record dan karir gemilang di masa depan. Jadi IAI juga punya ujian sertifikasi CA dan ujian sertifikasi yang lainnya serta menyelenggarakan pendidikan profesional berkelanjutan. Yang mana semua ini dimaksudkan agar akuntan Indonesia itu selalu terupdate dengan perkembangan akuntansi dan keuangan yang dinamis dan dapat menyesuaikan dengan perkembangan yang ada, perkembangan model bisnis yang ada di dunia juga. Jadi IAI juga menjaga dan menegakkan disiplin anggotanya sehingga para akuntan yang bergabung di dalam IAI ini akan selalu dijaga dan diupdate setiap waktu. Jadi spirit keprofesian inilah yang harus dipegang teguh oleh setiap anggota IAI agar marwah profesi ini selalu ada dan menjadi panduan bagi setiap akuntan dalam melaksanakan aktivitasnya, menjadi pengawal perekonomian dan sektor bisnis.
Oke, jadi untuk teman-teman yang penasaran gimana sih caranya IAI untuk menjaga profesionalismenya? Nah, barusan sudah dipaparkan oleh Profesor Linda bagaimana peran-peran IAI untuk hal tersebut. Profesor Linda dan teman-teman sekalian, spesial sekali kita mendapatkan pesan-pesan dari Menteri Badan Usaha Milik Negara Republik Indonesia, Bapak Erick Thohir. Jadi untuk itu marilah bersama kita saksikan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Nama Budaya, salam kebajikan. Yang terhormat Ketua IAI, Profesor Mardiasmo, Bapak dan Ibu sekalian. Semoga semua yang hadir hari ini diberikan kesehatan oleh Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Bapak, Ibu, dan adik-adik yang saya banggakan, kualitas pelaporan keuangan sangat penting untuk terciptanya transparansi dan akuntabilitas keuangan di perusahaan-perusahaan BUMN. Kini banyak perusahaan BUMN melakukan e-procurement. Hal ini untuk meningkatkan transparansi, akuntabilitas, sekaligus mendukung monitoring dan audit. Tentu, dengan kualitas pelaporan keuangan yang baik, maka akan terlihat apakah kinerja perusahaan-perusahaan tersebut sesuai dengan program dalam mengimplementasikan sinergi dan strategi yang diformulasikan untuk mencapai tujuan perusahaan. BUMN sejatinya merupakan perusahaan yang diberikan tugas pengelolaan modal yang diberikan pemerintah dan berasal dari kekayaan negara untuk menopang perekonomian nasional. Maka harus memiliki financial integrity, yakni kepastian dalam memberikan laporan keuangan yang benar, konsisten, lengkap, akurat, dan memenuhi persyaratan lainnya sehingga benar-benar dapat dipertanggungjawabkan. Bapak dan Ibu, apresiasi setinggi-tingginya saya sampaikan kepada IAI yang sejak berdirinya 67 tahun yang lalu, IAI mampu membangun aspek penting yang dibutuhkan dalam profesi akuntansi, yakni kepercayaan atau trust. Para hadirin, pandemi COVID-19 berdampak di seluruh dunia. Karena itu, kita harus menjaga penyebaran COVID-19 yang mengakibatkan ekonomi melambat. Tantangan yang dihadapi perusahaan BUMN adalah bagaimana menjadi lebih adaptif dan melakukan berbagai terobosan out of the box agar ekonomi cepat pulih. Tapi tentunya cost efficiency juga dilakukan. Prinsipnya, kami menjalankan program efisiensi dan pengawasan manajemen BUMN. Kami back to core business, fokus di bisnis, expertise agar bisa leading tanpa melupakan dua hal percepatan digital dan perbaikan sumber daya manusia. Selama pandemi, hanya 10% perusahaan BUMN yang positif, yaitu di sektor digital, telekomunikasi, kesehatan, dan perkebunan. Sementara sisanya sangat berat. Untuk itu, semua harus bergegas bertransformasi. Perusahaan BUMN membutuhkan informasi berkualitas tinggi untuk memahami dampaknya bagi masyarakat dan lingkungan, yaitu dengan menjaga integritas laporan keuangan yang merupakan tanggung jawab profesi akuntan. Ini penting sekali untuk membangun kepercayaan investor dan secara langsung akan berdampak pada terciptanya GCG, sehingga memudahkan mendapat pendanaan. Profesi ini tak hanya terkait dalam penyelenggaraan laporan keuangan semata, tapi punya peran lebih strategis. Oleh sebab itu, akuntan harus benar-benar profesional, sebab akan berdampak langsung pada kredibilitas, terlebih jika akuntan profesional tersebut mampu menilai, mengevaluasi, dan mengkomunikasikan kinerja perusahaan, serta memiliki pemahaman akan model bisnis dan kemampuan untuk merelevansikan diri perkembangan bisnis yang akan terjadi di masa datang. Bapak Presiden Joko Widodo memberikan banyak penugasan kepada BUMN. Berkat tim yang kuat, penugasan tersebut sudah bisa tercapai. Dalam transformasi yang saya lakukan, salah satunya adalah merombak manajemen di kementerian, di mana tadinya ada deputi yang mengawal perusahaan-perusahaan sesuai sektor. Saat ini portfolio tersebut dikawal oleh 2 wamen saya yang sangat handal di bidangnya. Ketiga deputi saya adalah deputi bidang hukum dan perundang-undangan, deputi bidang sumber daya manusia, teknologi, dan informasi, dan deputi bidang keuangan dan manajemen resiko. Mereka sebagai deputi akan berfokus kepada sesuai pendalaman dan job desk-nya. Ini pertama kali terjadi selama Kementerian BUMN berdiri. Kepada generasi muda akuntan Indonesia yang menjadi peserta di IFAC, saya berharap agar para akuntan muda juga mampu menguasai teknologi. Jangan pernah berhenti belajar. Manfaatkan kesempatan untuk memperdalami dunia keilmuan dan pengalaman berbisnis, sehingga kemampuan kalian dapat terasah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Baik, setelah kita saksikan pesan-pesan dari Bapak Erick Thohir, semoga teman-teman yang ada di sini yang menonton bisa lebih memahami fungsi profesi akuntan yang juga berguna untuk BUMN di Indonesia. Bukankah begitu, Profesor Linda?
Iya, Monik, betul sekali apa yang telah disampaikan oleh Pak Erick tadi.
Nah, Profesor Linda, untuk ini masih berhubungan nih pertanyaan aku yang berikutnya dengan apa yang disampaikan oleh Pak Erick sebelumnya, yaitu mengenai akuntan di BUMN ya. Profesi akuntan itu tadi disebut sebagai pilar utama pertumbuhan ekonomi dan kontribusinya dibutuhkan bagi perkembangan BUMN di Indonesia. Bagaimana sih hal itu bisa dilakukan, Prof?
Oke, baik. Sebelum menjawab pertanyaan Monik, izinkan saya atas nama Dewan Pengurus Nasional Ikatan Akuntan Indonesia menyampaikan terima kasih atas apresiasi dan dukungan Pak Erick Thohir selaku Menteri BUMN kepada profesi akuntan. Yang Bapak berikan hari ini dapat menyemangati akuntan muda di seluruh Indonesia untuk lebih berkiprah dalam perekonomian nasional. Sekali lagi terima kasih Bapak Erick Thohir atas apresiasi yang disampaikan tadi. Jadi kembali ke pertanyaan Monika, profesi akuntan berada di jantung perekonomian. Mengapa demikian? Karena mengetahui secara detail dan jelas atas kondisi keuangan entitas yang merupakan urat nadi going concern sebuah entitas yang termasuk di dalamnya pasti BUMN. Akuntan dengan profesionalisme, kepercayaan dan integritasnya itu memiliki posisi yang strategis untuk menentukan arah dan masa depan BUMN. Karena keputusan yang strategis itu diambil atas informasi yang presisi dan dapat dipercaya. Dan hal ini akan membawa BUMN pada pertumbuhan yang optimal di masa depan. Jadi akuntan dapat memberikan petunjuk bagaimana perusahaan dan organisasi menciptakan nilai baik dalam jangka pendek, menengah, dan panjang. Nah, lalu bagaimana gilirannya nanti memastikan bahwa seluruh modal yang dikelola, termasuk modal keuangan, SDM, intelektual, sosial, dan tidak kalah pentingnya modal lingkungan, dialokasikan secara lebih efisien dan produktif untuk mencapai tujuan global itu. Jadi di sini profesi akuntan juga harus mendukung BUMN yang lebih transparan dan bertanggung jawab kepada negara dan masyarakat seperti yang tadi juga sudah disampaikan oleh Bapak Menteri BUMN. Jadi melalui pelaporan keuangan yang efektif dan relevan, profesi ini dapat membantu untuk meningkatkan pemahaman pengelola BUMN tentang posisi dan perspektif fiskal mereka. Juga penting untuk memberikan pemahaman kepada legislator, eksekutif, dan pasar terkait informasi yang mereka butuhkan untuk membuat keputusan dan kebijakan yang efisien, serta meminta pertanggungjawaban atas kinerja mereka. Karena seperti kita ketahui bersama, BUMN itu merupakan pelaku utama loh dalam perekonomian nasional, di mana secara total aset BUMN itu mencapai lebih dari 8.000 triliun rupiah. Karena itu peranan yang sangat penting ini dalam penyelenggaraan perekonomian nasional juga dalam rangka mewujudkan kesejahteraan masyarakat Indonesia. Jadi saya sangat berharap BUMN dan entitas bisnis dapat memberikan kepercayaan yang lebih kepada akuntan, terutama anggota IAI, untuk memastikan transparansi dan akuntabilitasnya, sehingga dapat mendorong kinerjanya menjadi lebih efisien, efektif, dan juga memberikan dampak optimal bagi kesejahteraan rakyat Indonesia.
Nah, tadi udah dijelaskan juga ya, diperkuat lagi pertanyaannya Pak Erik dengan jawabannya Profesor Linda mengenai positioning akuntan di BUMN di Indonesia. Aku tadi udah bertanya perannya IAI, aku juga udah bertanya mengenai bagaimana peran akuntan dalam menaikkan perekonomian di era pandemik ini. Terus tadi udah barusan mengenai positioning akuntan di BUMN. Terakhir yang mau aku tanyakan nih, mumpung bersama Profesor Linda ya. Menurut Profesor Linda, karena di sini juga banyak kan teman-teman kita dari luar negeri ya yang akan kita sapa selanjutnya. Menurut Profesor Linda, bagaimana sih kualitas akuntan Indonesia saat ini? Apakah kita sudah siap untuk go global?
Ya, kalau kita lihat pendidikan akuntansi di Indonesia, ini tidak kalah dengan pendidikan akuntansi global. Karena apa? Karena kita mengacu pada standar yang sama, standar global, yang sudah diatur di dalam International Education Standard yang diterbitkan oleh IFAC, International Federation of Accountants. Jadi dimanapun kita belajar akuntansi, itu pasti pedomannya sama di seluruh dunia ini, Monica. Jadi saya bisa menyimpulkan dari sini bahwa Indonesia itu memiliki banyak akuntan profesional yang sangat kredibel dan pastilah bisa bersaing dengan akuntan manapun di dunia. Jadi apalagi pemegang CE Indonesia itu banyak yang telah menunjukkan track record-nya sebagai akuntan yang dapat diandalkan selama ini ya, sejak IAI berdiri tahun 57 ya. Jadi memang kita juga mengakui bahwa ada disparitas kualitas SDM di Indonesia yang cukup besar. Tetapi jangan khawatir karena IAI terus mengembangkan sertifikasi Chartered Accountant-nya untuk menjawab tantangan global tersebut dan melibatkan semua calon akuntan ataupun akuntan profesional yang ada di Indonesia. Sehingga kualifikasinya sudah akan terus bisa diselaraskan atau disetarakan dengan akuntan-akuntan profesional di dunia. Ya, dan selanjutnya kita itu perlu tahu CA kita, CA akuntan Indonesia ini dapat bergabung di ASEAN CPA dan bisa bekerja di negara-negara ASEAN ya. Karena di regional ASEAN ini kita memiliki kualitas yang setara karena tadi di global aja udah setara ya kan, apalagi di ASEAN ya. Dan lebih-lebih lagi IAI itu merupakan anggota Chartered Accountant Worldwide, sehingga akuntan profesional pemegang CE Indonesia dapat mengklaim bahwa dia adalah anggota CAW Network yang merupakan jaringan akuntan internasional dengan destinasi CA di seluruh dunia. Jadi dengan demikian kan sudah ada bukti-buktinya ya Monica, bahwa memang kita sekarang ini sih sudah go global atau go internasional.
Nah, jadi teman-teman sudah bisa berlega hati untuk yang masih sekolah menghadapi ujian, bisa terus semangat karena tenang, kata Profesor Linda, bukan kata Profesor Linda aja, memang benar kualitas CA Indonesia nggak kalah kok dengan yang global, jadi tetap bersemangat dan terus berusaha ya Profesor Linda, dan jangan lupa untuk tetap menjadi akuntan profesional. Profesor Linda, terima kasih sharingnya, ini merupakan kesempatan emas bisa ngobrol-ngobrol dan sharing informasi dengan teman-teman sekalian. Terima kasih atas waktunya Profesor Linda.
Ya, terima kasih Monica. Selamat sore semuanya, salam sehat dan tetap semangat akuntan Indonesia. Terima kasih.
Baik, Teman-teman sekalian, untuk menyambung informasi yang telah disampaikan oleh Profesor Linda benar. Jadi sebagai informasi, IAI telah tergabung dalam komunitas global Chartered Accountant Worldwide sejak tahun 2016 dan kita telah meluncurkan CAW Network logo pada bulan Desember 2019. Logo ini secara eksklusif hanya dapat digunakan oleh anggota dari 15 asosiasi profesi akuntan, jadi hanya dapat digunakan oleh organisasi anggota CAW, sehingga para pemegang CA Indonesia bisa juga menggunakan logo tersebut dan menjadi bagian dari komunitas global yang berisikan 750.000 chartered accountant dan 1 juta mahasiswa dari 190 negara. Jadi sangat-sangat eksklusif buat teman-teman yang udah punya gelar CA belum pernah pakai CAW Network logo, silahkan dipakai dan kita saksikan video berikut untuk selengkapnya. Bapak Ibu hadirin sekalian, izinkan saya untuk melanjutkan acara dengan menggunakan bahasa Inggris. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IAI APAFest Webinar Series 2020. And now move on to the next agenda. We will have 2 videos, the contribution from the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountant, or PICPA. IAI and PICPA as a co-founders of AFA is pleased to collaborate and present you with the videos that we will be watching. Through this video, I hope you will get some valuable insight into life as an accounting student, as well as a professional accountant in the Philippines. Now, enjoy the videos.
Being a student in an accountancy program can be really difficult. It demands so much of our time and effort. The truth is, this journey of ours challenges every speck of our willpower and demands the utmost level of sacrifice to succeed. We feel overwhelmed with the number of books and references we need to read. We get restless because of the many sleepless nights we go through just to prepare for assessments. We miss out on celebrations with family and friends because we have to review. We sometimes feel like we are not enough and we don't seem to fit in this course. We experience heartbreak because of our many failures in this journey. But the question is, why do we continue?
We are reminded of our dreams, our goals, our future. We think of the people whom we are doing this for. Success does not come overnight. It requires hard work, determination, and perseverance. There are times when we fail, times when we do not feel like we are good enough. But our failures only mean that we can start all over again, rebuild ourselves, and do better. Whenever we feel like we are alone in this journey, we look around and see people who are there, cheering us on, rooting for our success. Along our BSA journey, we met friends who instantly became our family. And as we take on the same path towards a shared vision and goal, we face challenges together, help each other, and support each other's backs. The BSA journey may be tough, but together we can face these challenges head-on and overcome them. Our hard work and sacrifices today will reap the harvest of our future. This is our story.
The CPA journey will never be easy, but with all the blood, sweat, and tears that we shed, it will all be worth it. So don't give up. Every day you wake up, remind yourself that today is going to be great. You are going to be great, and you can do this. Because one day you will just wake up and look back and see how much you have accomplished with that title at the end of your name, CPA. So don't lose hope over a failed quiz or a difficult accountancy topic that you do not understand yet. Just get up, clear your desk, tie your hair, and just get your day started with a big smile and a bright future ahead. 我相信你们，加油!
There will be days when you feel like giving up and ask, is all this really worth it? Well, only you can answer that question. But whenever you get discouraged, it's good to remember why you are doing this and that there are people around you who are willing to help you out. Be that person for others too. The road to becoming a CPA doesn't have to be a lonely one. So, trust yourself and each other and believe that you will all be able to achieve your goals. Remember, smooth seas don't make good sailors. Kamu pasti bisa.
The BSA program is a one-of-a-kind program which will instill in you great discipline and make you an outstanding professional in the workplace. Just work hard, keep praying, and keep the faith. And if it is God's will, I'm sure that He will allow you to succeed and graduate in this program. Kaya natin to.
Everyone's definition of success will look different, but you do you. Don't be afraid to take your time and really understand the principles. After all, education is an investment, not a marathon. At the end of the day, those who understand the language of business will make the wisest decisions in life. And that is what makes the journey worthwhile. Himne!
Continue working hard in this journey you have embarked upon. It may be difficult, but it goes without saying that nothing in life comes easy. This degree will allow you to reap the greatest benefits in the future. You just have to wait, because the best is yet to come. I believe in you, and I know you will finish this journey a better and stronger person. Tum kar sakte ho.
An accountant's life is identified with debit and credit, journal entries, financial statements, reconciliations, tax compliances, among others. It is also characterized by hectic schedule, series of meetings, and even sleepless nights. Because there is no other way to doing the accounting work but through being very detailed and accurate. In the Philippines, there are 4 sectors for the CPAs: public practice, commerce and industry, government, and the education sector. Accountants in public practice advocate the truth and they conduct themselves at all times with honesty, uprightness, and adherence to sound moral principles. They provide quality assurance to their clients. Accountants in commerce and industry continuously seek and apply new ideas to improve performance and to provide the business owners with quality outputs in the pursuit for better service to the public as a whole. Accountants in the government sector commit themselves to a strong, active, and devoted sense of duty to the society. They adhere strictly to the code of professional conduct to ensure highest moral, spiritual, and ethical standards in order to revere, lift, and honor public trusts. The accountants in the academe bind themselves to live and teach by examples in order to provide the future generations with leaders and individuals who will relive, improve, and innovate the legacy imprinted by a great nation. The Philippines is an archipelago, thereby making communication, transportation, and convergence of professionals a basic challenge. The accountants' thirst for constant updates are quenched through the different relevant trainings delivered in appropriate platforms by the various chapters across the country of the Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, or PICPA, which is the accredited professional organization in the country, along with other sectoral organizations. They also aid in the so many processes and services provided to the members with the aim of providing professional development to each and every accountant across the country. To the aspiring accountants, keep the passion burning. Draw inspiration from the stories of hard work and determination from every successful CPA. Take your studies seriously. Remember that it is not just a test of intelligence, but more of like a test of discipline. Preparing to become a CPA will include a rigorous studying, but once you're done, you can look back with the satisfaction that you have conquered a once-in-a-lifetime challenge. So give it your all. Let nothing stand in your way. The profession that you are about to join is very lucrative. Myriads of opportunities of work and for growth await you. So strive to reach for that goal. It is not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. I am a CPA. I am proud. I am a Filipino.
ladies and gentlemen, our Honorable Professor Mardiasmo, the President of Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountant, Mr. Alan Johnson, the Deputy President of International Federation of Accountants, Professor Linda Watigani, member of IFAC Membership Committee and National Council member of IAI, Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga, National Council member of IAI, and all the National Council member of IAI, Ibu Elizarni Husin, Executive Director of IAI, leaders of the profession from Indonesia and our neighboring ASEAN member states. Good afternoon and welcome back to the IAI APAFest Webinar 2020 Global Accountant Series with BUMN and IFAC. To continue the session, I will let Professor Mardiasmo, the President of IAI, to deliver the opening remarks. To Professor Mardiasmo, the floor is yours.
Our honorable guest, Bapak Erick Thohir, Minister of State-Owned Enterprises of the Republic of Indonesia, Honorable Mr. Alan Johnson, Deputy President of the International Federation of Accountants, or IFAC, Professor Linda Watigani, member of the IFAC Membership Committee and National Council member of IAI, Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga, National Council member of IAI, Ibu Elizarni Husin, Executive Director of IAI, leaders of the profession from Indonesia and our neighboring ASEAN member states, my fellow accountants from wherever you are tuning into this webinar, and also our beloved accounting student and aspiring accountants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, peace be upon you. On behalf of the Institute of Indonesian Chartered Accountants, please allow me to welcome you to today's webinar held as part of our continuing Aspiring Professional Accountant Festival 2020, or APAFest 2020. My highest appreciation to Bapak Erick Thohir for allowing his time to share with us his inspirational messages. It is indeed an honor for us to welcome him in today's exceptional webinar attended by those from around the region. I'm also pleased to welcome both Alan and Ibu Rosita in this webinar. We are privileged to have the opportunity to hear firsthand from Alan on IFAC's view on different aspects of the profession, such as ethics, integrity in the public sector, technology, sustainable development goals or SDGs, and the future of learning and the accountancy profession. As a co-founder of IFAC, IAI recognizes that IFAC has made great strides in effort to build confidence towards adoption and implementation of high-quality international standards, facilitate global exchange of knowledge and ideas, raise awareness of and dialogue on public interest and professional issues among key constitutions, and enhance recognition of and confidence in professional accountants and their relevant reputation and values. All of these are in the line with and reflect the values, strategy, and priorities under Initiative 6.1 or Prakasa 6.1, Mastering Change, Preparing for the Future. This is the focus that we have established for Initiative 6.1, a blueprint for our efforts in developing the accountancy profession in Indonesia. This to be achieved through combined efforts of IAI and our stakeholders in enhancing different aspects of the profession, such as membership, competence, professionalism, research and education, ICT, financial reporting and professional standards, and enforcement. These key focuses shall serve as our guideline in preparing futures ready Indonesian professional accountants. Despite the challenges, IAI continues to play our role as the recognized PAO in Indonesia. By leveraging technology, we developed modules for computer-based and online examinations and introduced different online development activities. These technologies extend to a major initiative that we have introduced to provide members and accountants with online access to our financial accounting standard, or we call it SAK online. This is significant breakthrough, not only for IAI, but also the accountancy profession in Indonesia. Recognizing the importance of providing guidance for, among others, financial reporting under uncertainties due to pandemic, IAI has been supporting our Financial Accounting Standard Board, DSAK IAI, in issuance of various guidance and clarifications looking at the impact of COVID-19 pandemic to some of the key provisions in the SAK. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, for the first time ever, APA-FEST is fully conducted online, taking the theme of the scanning the horizon, embracing the future. APA-FEST 2020 will culminate in joint session with the Finance and Business 2030 on November 10 to coincide with the celebration of the International Accounting Day. Since in commencement on September 12, we have successfully welcomed more than 3,000 participants from all over Indonesia, assessing various information about the festival and our webinar series. I am particularly proud with how we have used the webinar as a platform for sharing relevant information with our young accountants. From SAK to our chartered accountant or CA, to role of accountant in fraud prevention and detection, technology has allowed us to reach out even to those in the corner of Indonesia. APA-FEST 2020 is also about camaraderie, continuing the success of prior year's events. This year, we welcome 144 universities from around Indonesia, joining the different competition had as part of the festival, from APA Award, APA Champ, Hima Challenge, Best Paper, to a cover song competition. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to close my remarks with a sense of hope and optimism. Despite the adversities, I believe we are doing our best to adapt the situation. More importantly, I'm optimistic that we will come out of this pandemic stronger and better profession. I would like to thank Bapak Erick Thohir, Mr. Alan Johnson, Profesor Linda Batigani, and Ibu Rosita Uli Sinaga once again for their contribution to today's webinar. I hope you enjoy this webinar and the rest of our APA-FEST 2020 activities. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Mardiasmo. And now I will invite everyone in this room to turn on the video because we will have a photo session. this is the way we take a picture now. So could you please turn on the video and our team will do the screenshot. Okay, so 1, 2, 3 and smile. Okay, thank you everyone. Continue to our next agenda. We will have the Deputy President of IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson, to deliver a keynote speech and join the discussion with Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga, IAI National Council member, and host by Renaldi Pramana, the winner of APACEM 2018 and the best speaker of APACEM 2018. Before we start the discussion, let me read a brief CV of Mr. Alan Johnson. Mr. Alan Johnson became a Deputy President of IFAC in November 2018, having served on the IFAC board since November 2015. He was nominated by the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Mr. Johnson was a member of the IFAC Professional Accountants in Business Committee between 2011 until 2015. He was Director of UK Department for International Development and chaired its Audit and Risk Assurance Committee. Our second speaker is the pretty one, Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga. Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga is currently the member of IAI National Council. She was formerly the chairperson of Indonesia Financial Accounting Standard Board, or the SAK IAI, for the period 2009 until 2014. Rosita is Indonesia FSI and Audit Advisory Leader Deloitte Indonesia. She has more than 25 years experience in assignment related to the accounting and management related consulting. Rosita is also a lecturer at the Faculty of Economy and Business, Universitas Indonesia, and a speaker for various seminar and training. The last but not least is our host, Renaldi Pramana. He is the winner of APACEM 2018 and the best speaker for APACEM 2018. Graduated from Trisakti School of Management International Class Program with full tuition scholarship. He was also the moderator for IAI National Accountancy Symposium, Symponas, on 2018, with the guest speaker, Mr. Russell Guthrie, the CEO of IFAC. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us hear a keynote speech delivered by the Deputy President of IFAC, Mr. Alan Johnson. Mr. Johnson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Monica. Professor Madiasmo, Professor Lindawati Ghani, Ms. Rosita Ulisinaga, IAI Council members, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and Salamat Sore to all of you in Indonesia. It is a real pleasure to be joining you today, although not able to be with you in Jakarta, but at least with the technology, I'm able to be present. I would like to congratulate the Institute of Indonesia Chartered Accountants for arranging this event and the 2-month celebration, the Aspiring Professional Accountants Festival 2020, also known as APA Fest, which you bring together thought leaders, academics, and various dignitaries from the accountancy and finance professions to encourage, nurture, and celebrate current students of the professional accountancy and those who are just starting out in their careers. Even in these times of a global pandemic and economic uncertainty, it is a testament to IAI as an institution that you have kept the focus, training and enhancing the growth and potential of students and young professionals, leveraging technology to reach out to students and young professionals from all over Indonesia. I have visited Jakarta on 3 occasions during my time at Unilever. And during every visit, I was always impressed with the dynamism and energy of your country. What has been achieved in terms of economic development over the past 2 decades has been truly remarkable. IFAC, through its network of member PAOs and other partner organizations, is the voice of the professional accountancy organization. We represent more than 3 million professional accountants. And as has been said by your president, IAI has been a founding member of IFAC since 1977. I would also like to recognize past and present volunteers from IAI who have served on the various IFAC committees and boards. In recent years, we've had the pleasure of the following distinguished individuals from IAI. Professor Siddhartha Uttama, who served on the International Accounting Education Standards Board. Professor Lindawati Ghani, who is currently serving on the membership committee of IFAC. And Mr. Madi Hadibroto, who was on the IFAC board when I joined IFAC in 2015 and has done so much for our global profession. I would also like to mention IFAC's relationship with the ASEAN Federation of Accountants, an IFAC network partner. AFA is hosted by IAA in Jakarta and works closely on behalf of the profession in the ASEAN region. I think it is important for you as young and aspiring accountants to be aware of some of the key themes that are important today and for the future. And I will indeed begin with ethics in the profession. Our commitment to ethics as part of our public interest mandate really does distinguish our profession from all others. And it guides us as we navigate current and emerging issues. I would like to turn to the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, which lays out 5 principles for accountants to abide by: integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence and due care, and above all, professional behavior. Our collective action to fight fraud and corruption must be a joint goal of governments, businesses, and civil society. And our profession clearly has an important role to play that includes increasing transparency, committing to whistleblower protection, and creating formal mechanisms to fight financial crime, money laundering, bribery, and data breaches. Citizens, above all, should see professional accountants as leaders in this fight, demonstrating that we take our public interest mandate extremely seriously. Like ethics, the integrity and professionalism of accountants in the public sector is and will continue to be vital. In many countries, the public sector is not only the largest employer, but it's also the largest investor. The integrity of public financial management has always been essential to the profession's public interest mandate, but our work in the public sector is now more important than ever. The measures taken to prevent the spread of COVID-19 and to minimize the damage suffered by industry and working people have amounted to trillions of dollars worldwide. And these support systems and schemes are making the difference between bankruptcy and solvency for countless people and organizations. So delivering on these public measures in response to COVID-19 requires transparent decision-making based on high-quality financial information, with which we risk inefficiencies and waste, enabling fraud and corruption that undermines the public interest. And as we know, sadly, those affected by failures of the public sector to fight fraud and corruption are the poorest in society, those same citizens who are impacted most by the COVID-19 pandemic. So when public services fail, society suffers and ordinary people have the most to lose. But when our professional accountants work in the public sector, they work for those who need most our support. I will now focus on technology and how this is becoming a very important priority in our profession as the world changes very quickly. Digitalization is the present and the future of our profession. At IFAC, we're witnessing many trends arising, and COVID-19 has accelerated digitalization in ways that few have predicted, and your president has just talked about that. But I will focus on why you as accountants should value technology. And you will no doubt hear more about how technology impacts the way you work and how it will impact your professional development in the future. You should be familiar with some of these important elements of technology: artificial intelligence, blockchain, cybersecurity, and data. And technology is everywhere. It is in our hands. It is in our homes. And today it is right in front of us. COVID-19 has restricted me from being with you live today, but technology has enabled me to be with you in a different way. Technology will help us learn. It will help us engage with our peers and colleagues. Technology will help you embrace and enhance your professional experience, and it will help you seek out solutions to the challenges you will encounter. So as you embark on your careers, I challenge you to think about how technology will help you going forward. And I encourage you to maintain awareness of how advances in technology will support you in your day-to-day jobs and how it will make those jobs much easier to conduct in the future. Lastly, on this point, at IFAC, there's a focus on how we can partner with our members, such as IAI, to advance different initiatives around technology to help professional accountancy organizations meet the needs of their members and the profession that we all serve. Over the past 4 months, the headlines across the world have been on COVID-19. But we must not lose sight of the other global pandemic that we have been facing for many decades, and that is the issue of climate change. And of course, Indonesia as an archipelago understands this better than most. Across the world, hundreds of millions of people are already being impacted negatively from the effects of damage to the planet. For example, over 5 million people around the world die every year from the effects of air pollution. That compares with around 1.2 million who have sadly so far passed away from COVID-19. And over 9 million people die every year of the related impact of climate change. So COVID has highlighted the fragility of our global ecosystem and the urgent importance of creating a more sustainable world. Clearly, globalization and industrialization have benefited society, but they've also contributed obstacles to sustainable development, including extreme poverty and inequality. Our profession, with its global reach, has always endeavored to serve the public interest, guided by our strong ethical standards and professionalism. IFAC's strategy is also guided by and aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I believe in this vision of our future that we need to be clear about how we must evolve and where we can add value as a profession. To you, as young and aspiring professional accountants, my key message to you is to keep agile and keep learning. When I speak to other audiences, I always ask, how do we attract the next generation to our profession? Our profession that is evolving to new skills, opportunities, and careers that we see young people searching for. Accountancy programs and education are being revolutionized to be modern, agile, and effective, and using digital education to make sure that either virtually or in person, you can keep studying and working with all of your peers, teachers, and organizations around the world. Young and aspiring professional accountants want to learn new skills, such as change management and the ability to integrate with other professions. And accountants are preparing to become professionals with new types of roles: technology integrators, dynamic decision makers, storytellers, and sustainability advocates. These are roles that position us to respond to massive changes in business, technology, and society. When professional accountants talk about our future, we must talk about climate change. We must find ways to work in the public interest against these existential threats that affect everyone, everywhere. And when Greta Thunberg presented her views to the United Nations Secretary General, she said that she was just one of millions who passionately believe in taking climate action. And I'm sure that is the case with all of you in Indonesia. Our profession is important to her and your aspirations. You have wonderful institutions in the IAI as your source for continuous learning. And I commend IAI for using its digital platform to inform and educate its members and students, especially during this pandemic. And I ask you to check out IFAC's dedicated COVID-19 resource page and our Global Knowledge Gateway. In these two areas, we collect and collaborate with all facets of the profession and the development industry to create thought leadership and guidance on all relevant matters. These resources have an outstanding breadth and depth of information. You will have access to webinars, learn how different countries are adapting to the new challenges faced by our profession, and you will see examples of how the profession is using its agility to adapt. I really recognize how fortunate some of us are to be able to participate in today's event. And of course, my thoughts go out to all of those families that have lost loved ones prematurely. And of course, to those that are still suffering from the effects of this terrible pandemic. And there's no question that the heroes of today and tomorrow are the doctors, the nurses, the healthcare workers, researchers and scientists, everyone who is keep working so hard to save our lives and protect us. And we owe them an enormous debt of gratitude, a debt that we may never ever able to fully repay. But I am convinced that our global profession has never had such an important role as now to support society in tackling global challenges and helping governments and businesses navigate the path to recovery. Our professional competencies, a collection of technical knowledge and abilities, combined with our interpersonal skills, all underpinned by ethical behaviors, are extremely relevant at this time. We need to continue to focus in earnest on the work that we do, which will be equally important when we get to the other side of this terrible pandemic. When governments need the mechanisms to provide financial support to public health systems, when economies start to recover, when businesses need cash flow to rebuild, we have to be there as partners and problem solvers with them. Again, I would like to thank IAI for giving me this opportunity to address you today, and I really do look forward to our discussion. So over to you, Rinaldi Pamana, the APA Champ of 2018, and may I congratulate you on winning the APA Award. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alan, for your keynote speech.
Terima kasih Pak Alan, terima kasih juga Pak Alan.
Without further ado, let us start the discussion. And Rinaldi, over to you.
Thank you, Kak Monica. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome. I'm Rinaldi, and today for this special session, we'll be having a very special session guided with our two honorable speakers, are Bu Rosita Ulisinaga and Mr. Alan Johnson. Now, this discussion focuses on the theme of accounting profession in both the current situation as well as how the profession prepares young accountants of the generation to prove themselves ready for the future. And besides that, we'd also like to gain further insights from IFAC's perspective regarding the roles of accountants, both young and mature, in facing the future. For this discussion, first of all, we'd like to turn our attention to Bu Rosita Ulisinaga. Bu Rosita, how are you? We hope that you're doing well. How are you dealing with the pandemic?
Thank you, Rinaldi. Before I respond to your question, I want to greet everybody here. Pak Mardiasmo, Alan Johnson, it is honor to having you here. And also Professor Linda Watigani. I also see Ibu Tia Adityasih, and also I saw Pak Ahmadi Hadibroto and Pak Hans Katika Hadi. Both of them are very senior accountant, respective senior accountant, and very active in Indonesia accountant of in Indonesia chartered accountant. So good afternoon, everybody. Rinaldi, I think this is very interesting situation. Do you know that I have been working from home since March? So I actively working, but stay at home. So I think that's a very significant way of working now in my office. But surprisingly, we can do everything from home. So this is very interesting situation, which we never think that we can do it, right? So I think we are pressured to change. And this is the situation, but we believe we can do it. And now you can see that even IFAC is fully conducted virtually, and it still can go on, right? So this is the word that we are dealing with. Change, the change is now part of our life. I think that's my response to your question, Renaldi.
Thank you, Bu Rosita. It's a relief for us to hear that from you. And we also do hope that everyone watching the APA Fest right now is also keeping themselves distant and keeping themselves and their families healthy. And without further ado, Bu Rosita, maybe we would like to continue with our discussion. We'd like to ask you a few questions. First of all, how do you think the accounting students and young accountants can play a role in promoting the importance of ethics in our profession? Let me repeat again the question. How do you think accounting students and young accountants can play a role in promoting the importance of ethics in our profession?
Okay, thank you, Renaldi. I think ethical codes are very important. It is a fundamental principle for accounting professional to enhance their profession and maintain public trust and demonstrate honesty and fairness. And IAI has issued a revised professional code of ethics, which must be adhered by each of its members to ensure they are do it integrity, professionalism, and it can always properly maintained by each member. So Indonesia has more than 250,000 accounting students, and I believe at least 30,000 accounting graduates every year. So to build a good career as well as build a strong profession, Indonesia accounting student from the start must uphold these principles, the ethics principles and belief, and start building track records starting from now. So II APA Fest is a very good platform to start engaging with the profession from an early age, and they can see the development of the profession from firsthand and engaging with successful professional figures like Pak Mardiasmo and Alan Johnson, and see the pathway they build, how they become a successful professional accountant. So for all of you, you can start to promote the importance of ethics for our profession through actively participate in II activities and start introducing and promoting how to become professional accountant to your friends through your various social media. Now, younger generation is very active in social media. It's very easy to promote something, right? So at least you can start now. If more students are aware about how to become professional accountant, not only accounting graduates, but become professional accountant, we can expect brighter future for our accounting profession in Indonesia. I think that's my response, Renaldi.
Thank you very much, Bu Rosita. And I do very well agree with you that in order to become professional accountants, I believe that participating in this EIE APA event, as I myself have experienced, has also definitely prepared me and a lot of my colleagues to be able to prepare ourselves for becoming a more professional accountants. Now, moving on, Rosita, as we are well aware with the current situation that we're dealing, the COVID-19 pandemic, I'd like to ask, what has the profession done to contribute to the collective efforts in dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic impact? And what do you think the role of the accounting profession is going to be in the post-pandemic world? Let me repeat the question again. What has the profession done to contribute to the collective efforts in dealing with the impact of COVID-19? And what do you think the role of the profession will be in post-pandemic world?
Okay, so in principle, our profession must join the efforts in restoring the economy back to normal through persistent enhancement of the relevance and transparency of the financial reporting for decision maker and key stakeholders, because at least that's our core responsibility, right? And II has the biggest accounting professional organization has released a public statement regarding the importance of disclosure related to COVID-19, particularly forward-looking disclosures for investors. And II, together with key stakeholders of the accountancy profession in Indonesia, is closely monitoring the coronavirus pandemic and its consequences to individual members and organizations. One important role mandated to the II is standard setting for financial reporting and responding to stakeholders' inquiries and to provide clarification to uncertainties relating to COVID-19 and its effect to financial reporting. Different organizations, including the ISB, has issued clarification and guidance for implementation of standard under current circumstance. And Indonesian Financial Accounting Standard Board, II, has issued several guidance also to assist our stakeholders in Indonesia in preparing their 2020 financial report due to COVID-19 situation. So the topic are related to events after reporting period based on PSAC 8 and expected credit losses based on PSAC 71, and also about fair value measurement based on PSAC 68. So we will committed, I will continue to monitor the development of the COVID-19 situation and will collaborate with all relevant stakeholders to be part of the solution. That's my response.
Thank you, Bu Rosita. Thank you very much. So as I may conclude that both EIE and IFRS Foundation has definitely contributed in overcoming the challenges with the current pandemic situation. Now, we would like to move our attention to Mr. Alan Johnson. Mr. Johnson, we hope that you are safe and well with your families. And for this next question, we'd like to ask to you regarding, do you consider that with the current pandemic, we have even more reliance on technology? Do you consider technology now as a bane or boon to the future of our profession? And how can the current and next generation of accountants translate their technological advancement, or as we may say, savviness, into an advantage in competing with other professions? If I may repeat the question again, do you consider the technology more as a bane or boon for the future in our profession? And how can the current and next generation use or take advantage of the technology in competing with the other professions?
Thank you, Rinaldi. Good afternoon. And just to say, I'm and my family are keeping very well. Thank you. And I hope the same with all of you. I think one of the biggest challenges is not only staying safe, but also staying sane at the moment, given the situation we've been living for almost 8 months. So in response to your question, I would say that technology is definitely a boon to all of us and the future of our profession. And it's we see it today. We're all together, being able to connect in real time, talking about relevant topics, using technology, which probably a year ago, 18 months ago, we would never have imagined would be possible. And in fact, if somebody had said to me 9 months ago that we'll be holding this kind of event virtually, I would have said, you must be crazy. It must surely be better that we're all together, because there's more to learn from each other by being together and sharing the time together. But obviously the pandemic has resulted in us doing so. So as they say, necessity is the mother of invention, and therefore we're now able to use the technology. And actually, most of us feel pretty okay with it. I'm not suggesting this will be the only way to connect with each other in the future. I don't think it can be, but for now, it's the best we've got. So therefore, it's definitely a boon. I guess it could be a bane if you don't embrace it and don't feel comfortable with it. But particularly for the generation I'm talking to today, I think when I think about your generation, you've been using technology in your lives not necessarily 24 hours a day, but certainly many, many hours of the day. And it comes as almost second nature to you, which would be very different to when I was at this stage at this stage in my life going back. Clearly, in a post-pandemic world, we're going to have to use technology to do the things that we need to do as professional accountants in an efficient way. I mean, when I think about, say, those who are in the audit part of our profession, clearly their work is much more challenging now because they can't necessarily visit the clients and see what's going on. And as we know, audit comes from Latin audire, which means to listen, and it's very difficult if you're not present to hear what people are saying and see what people are doing. But you know, the new technology that's available now, I mean, I was speaking to a country managing partner of one of the big four last week, telling me about the use of robotics to help assess valuations, using drones to actually look at whether assets actually exist. Not necessarily can they do stock taking, but they can at least attest as to whether the buildings and the assets are actually where the company says they are. So, you know, I think going forward, if we can embrace technology and feel comfortable with it, then it will actually make our jobs much easier to do, and probably we can do a better job. Now, there comes with this some ethical dilemmas, of course. There's, you know, issues around data integrity, data security, etc., that we need to think about as we embrace the technology. But I think these are things that we can indeed overcome. And I think it gives us the advantage as professional accountants that with the technology, we can actually do our jobs even better in a very important time when the independent assurance that we provide, either as auditors or indeed as professional accountants in business and the public sector, a lot of what we do is bringing that critical judgment to the table, critical challenge, and adding value to the discussions around the board table. So I would say we should embrace technology. We shouldn't fear it. There will be some issues and challenges, of course, as I said, around the ethical dimension, but these are things which we should be able to overcome.
Thank you, Mr. Alan Johnson, for your statements. And I do agree with you is that because of this pandemic, it definitely connects us when we're even be able to do this event virtually. As people say that we're apart, but we're still together. Referring to your keynote speech previously, with the continuous advancement of technology, we'd like to ask you how the role of accountants are going to be. For example, in this or in the future of the age of automation, big data, and artificial intelligence. You previously mentioned that accountants are preparing for themselves to become technology integrators or storytellers and sustainability advocates. Can you explain further regarding to those things?
Yes, well, first of all, let me talk about the technologies. As you said, I mentioned big data, artificial intelligence, etc. For me, I see this actually as giving us the opportunity to add even more value in the roles that we perform. I know a lot of people are concerned about the technology, and you hear people say, well, they're going to take jobs away from us. Well, actually, I think this will allow us to do different things, do what we do better, do what we do differently, and add much more value. I'll take artificial intelligence. When I was, 30 odd years ago, sort of maybe even longer in your position, Rinaldi, I didn't have access to big data. My job was as a professional accountant in business, was to advise my colleagues on the right strategies, how to go about setting up businesses, how to engage with customers, consumers, etc., how to engage in the supply chain backwards with our suppliers, manufacturers, etc. But I didn't have access to the intelligence I needed to draw out some relevant insights that I could bring to the table. So did I do I did a good job, I suspect, but could I have done it better if I'd had access to artificial intelligence and big data? Yes. So actually, I think our role as a critical advisor to our business partners, drawing on data, distilling it into key insights that we can bring to the company. For example, as professional accountants, we just don't talk about the numbers. We should talk about trends. We should talk about what our competitors are doing. We should talk about what is going on throughout our supply chain, upstream, downstream. What does it mean? How should we configure our manufacturing? How should we configure our logistics? All of those things are what professional accountants. And I just want to just say, Rosita said something, and she was absolutely right. She used the word professional. For me, it's about the professionalism of accountants. So we are professional accountants. We're not accountants. We're professional accountants. And therefore, that's why I think we add so much value in the roles that we play. So, I do believe that this should not be seen as a threat. This should be seen as an opportunity for us to add even more value and be even more relevant in the organizations in which we work, whether that's in the audit and assurance profession, whether that's in the public sector, or whether that's in the private sector, or whether it's in, private practice, either in a big four or an SME. And I haven't mentioned SMEs, but I just want to add that SMEs are critical to sustainable economic development. They are the backbone of economic growth in your country and in most countries in the world, whether they're highly developed or slightly less developed. And therefore, we as professional accountants can help SMEs embrace and utilize the technologies to give them access to more information, help them be more agile and perform even better and more competitively.
Very well noted, Mr. Johnson. Thank you. And it's relieving to hear that everyone has a part that they can take, whether they're in Big Four or even SMEs, to be able to give an impact. And also, I agree with you that we want to strive as not just accountants, but also professional accountants. Now, regarding to that, as the young generations right now heavily immersed in technology, do you agree that today's young generation are the most informed, connected, and engaged? And how do you think this will impact their expectation of what good leadership is?
Well, there's no doubt that your generation is much better connected than when I was at the same stage in my career. You have access, we all do, of course, to real-time information. We know what's going on anywhere in the world. So we can preempt what might happen in our own geographies by seeing what's happening around the world, which we could never have done. I mean, I do remember it was back in, I think it was the late 80s or maybe early 90s, so before you were born, when the US entered Iraq, or Iran, I think it was Iran. And for the first time, we actually saw a war taking place in real time. If we switched on CNN at the time, we could see the jets taking off and heading to the Middle East. So since then, access to information in real time has become something that we could all have. And therefore, what does it do? It allows us to understand the trends and what's going on. It allows us to think carefully what they mean. It allows us to learn from what's happening elsewhere and make sure that we are better prepared. If I look back, let's just take the COVID-19. We knew around the 31st of December last year that there was a virus. So therefore, we did have some time, if we chose to use that time well, to actually understand what it might mean, even if we didn't know exactly what the virus was. We could see what was happening, and we should have been better prepared for what it would mean for all of us. And of course, your country and those that are closer to China were much better prepared because you've lived through, these kind of pandemics for a lot longer. So you and the sort of ASEAN countries have done a sterling job, I must say, in protecting society. And therefore, this is the value of information, the value of data, and the value of connectedness that we all live in today. So the question was also about, will it impact the expectation of good leadership? I believe it does, because now we are a lot clearer about what good and effective leadership is. And by the way, corollary to that is what bad leadership also is, so that we can learn to make sure that we continuously improve what we do as leaders to be better leaders for tomorrow. And as I said, the underpinning all of this is access in real time to knowledge and information. The other thing I would say is that technology now allows us to work across borders and boundaries much better than we could do in the past. So if I just think about young professional accountants in Indonesia today, there is no reason why you cannot work virtually for international organizations, whether they are in Indonesia or not in Indonesia, because the technology allows us to work remotely and virtually as effectively as if we were living in the same place, in the same country, in the same office. And I think this gives a lot more mobility to our profession, because we are really, truly one of the only global professions in the world where our professional qualification is what I call a portable qualification, and it has the same value wherever you go in the world. And I heard earlier on about talking about chartered accountancy worldwide. It was in Bahasa, so I didn't fully understand it, but I did pick up the words. That's another example where our qualification allows us to work either physically or remotely in different locations for different companies. So I think it opens up huge opportunities for the young professionals going forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Well, following with that question regarding the young generation of accountants currently, perhaps I'd like to ask Bu Rosita Ulisinaga regarding the current leaders in the profession. How do you think the current leaders in the accounting profession can better promote the profession and inspire both the students to enter the profession as well as the young accountants to continue with their professional journey and become the next generation of accountancy leaders with keeping technology in mind?
Okay, thank you, Renaldi. I think this is very specific for Indonesia based on my observation, because accounting students or accounting graduates in Indonesia, the majority really does not have a very good awareness after they graduate from the bachelor degree, how to become professional accountant. Because most of them, after they graduate, they just go to work, and they don't know even how to become a professional accountant. So I think this is very important, because the accounting profession will face significant changes in the next decades. And professional organizations like IAI, their members, and also educational institutions should really respond to this situation, right? These are three areas that must be considered by young accountants in order to develop their accounting profession in the future, right? First, accountant will use increasingly sophisticated and smart technologies, like mentioned by Alan, to enhance their traditional ways of working. And these technologies might even replace the traditional approach. And the second one, continued globalization will cause significant challenges for the profession. But if we manage that right, it could also create more opportunities for us, like also mentioned by Alan, right? And the third one, because of these changes, very rapid changes, of course, as a regulator, they will also regulate more strict, right? So increased regulation and the associated disclosure rules will have also the greatest impact on the profession for years to come. So my thinking is, therefore, it is very important that the professional organization like II provide a strong platform for accounting student and young accountant to be involved early on with the profession. How it can happen? II has provided a good platform by allowing accounting student to be young accountant member of II, and through our annual APA Fest event. That way, the younger generation of accountants can follow the pathway that their predecessor have built. Because during the APA Fest, I think they learned a lot from a successful professional accountant. And also, they also got a relevant updates about what is going on in the accounting profession. We do hope using this kind of platform, this younger generation can be our predecessor or our successor.
Thank you, Bu Rosita. And I truly agree with you that both the students, accounting students and young accountants, they need to be constantly reminded of the areas that they need to improve and how they can actively participate into becoming professional accountants. Now, we'd like to step back into the current situation that we're dealing. Previously, in the keynote speech, we are reminded that not only that we need to address the COVID-19 issue, but we also need to remind ourselves about the climate change. Now, this question is for Mr. Johnson. What is your view on the role of young accountants in joint efforts with promoting and achieving sustainable development and growth?
Thank you, Rinaldi. My starting point is that we all want to leave this world in a better place to the one that we found it. And when I talk to young people these days everywhere, when I have the opportunity, one thing is very clear. They want to make the world a better place. So in terms of thinking about who they want to work for, the kind of organizations they wish to work with, they want to make sure that those organizations take climate change and protecting the planet very seriously. And I would encourage young professional accountants to really challenge their employers. I know it's not easy. It's often very difficult and quite risky to do, but we've got to take more risks as individuals to demand change. Just to give an idea, when I started my career in Unilever, I chose Unilever because I wanted to work for a company that did the right things for society. And that's why I stayed for over 30 years, because it was set up in its founding days to do the right things for society. And I think we should demand this of every organization, whether it's public sector, private sector, large or small. That's what we should be demanding. We should be impatient. We should demand our leaders to embrace strategies that will make a difference. It will take time. It can't be done overnight, but we've got to start. So I would say you've got to be the ambassadors to demand change, just as Greta Thunberg has been doing and mobilized millions of young people around the world. It's very impressive what she's achieved, and I am sure there are hundreds of thousands, if not a million students in Indonesia who also went to campaign to make the world a better place. So, we are privileged because we actually work with many, many functions within our organization. So we have a strong voice, we have credibility because of our ethical background. Therefore, people listen to us. And the thing I would say most of all is please, 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 never put your personal or employer interest above the interests of society. Whatever you do, it must be done to do good for society. And we should always stop and ask ourselves, is what I'm doing going to make the society a better place? And if it is at the expense of that, we shouldn't be doing it, and we should be ashamed that we're doing it. So please, 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 make sure that we leave the world, when we eventually do, a better place than the one that we found ourselves in. That's my plea, and I honestly believe that the young and the youth today, that's exactly what they want. And I'm really delighted, and I encourage you to continue campaigning strongly to make sure that leaders hear your voices and respond appropriately.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Rosita, do you have any additional thoughts on sustainable development growth and how the young accountants can prepare themselves and take action?
Yeah, I think my advice for accounting students and young accountants, I think first, I think you need to think as entrepreneur. I think this is my advice to every young accountant, because I think it does not mean that you must own your business. It doesn't mean that you have to own your business, but every accountant is in business for themselves, right? So you have to be responsible for your own skill. You have to be responsible for your own growth, integrity, reputation, your personal brand, and service to clients and the public. So with this entrepreneur mindset, you will always want to learn new things every day to stay interested and interesting. And you know how to leverage your strength, not only focusing on your weaknesses. And you will always be able to convert any threat in a very dynamic circumstances to become new opportunities. That's the mindset to be an entrepreneur, right? So I hope with this new mindset as entrepreneur, you can be a leader in whatever you do. I think that's one of my suggestions in addition to what Alan has mentioned, Rinaldi.
Thank you as well, Bu Rosita. If I may summarize that regarding sustainable development growth, I myself may be representing the millions of Indonesian students. Also, we do hope that we want to be able to do good for society and definitely make the world a better place. And with having an entrepreneur mindset, following also model from Greta Thunberg, we obviously and we definitely would like to make the world an even better place, not just for us, but also for the future generations. The time is almost up, but we have one final question. This question is for both Bu Rosita and Mr. Johnson. Perhaps we would like to address Bu Rosita first. Bu Rosita, do you have any final advice, particularly to accounting students and aspiring accountants?
Okay, after this APA-Fest, what you need to do is join as a member of II. That's the first thing that you need to do, right? So you are exposed to the latest updates on accounting, finance, professional standard, and others. And being a member of the largest professional organization in Indonesia, II is a smart step for you to start your bright career in the future to be one of the global professional accountants. That's number one. So after this APA-Fest, don't forget, join, be a member of II. And I think Alan will also give some advice, but I think advice number two, in addition to think as an entrepreneur, what my observation for younger generation, they are very smart. Their technical skills is very good. I think I observe one quite big gap, Rinaldi, for younger generation. I think this will, the impact of the communication through gadget, I think every day, I think it reduces the skill for the young generation to communicate verbally and also written communication. Because I saw, when we communicate through gadget, you tend to use a very short short wording, right? Sometimes 5 wordings you just condense to 2 or 3 words, right? So meaning that kind of habit will reduce your communication skill verbally and in written, right? So based on my observation, that causes a significant gap if you try to build your career, especially if you are in a higher position, right? So for you, younger generation, younger accountant, while technical skills are very important, I think you need to go beyond your comfort zone, continue to build your verbal communication and written communication skill to expand your network, because now network is a very important asset for your career. So this additional verbal and written communication skill will bring you to higher level of your career. I think that's 2 of my advice for younger generation.
Thank you, Bu Rosita. We'll definitely keep in mind that after this session, us as young accountants, especially accounting students, being a part of the EIE member, and also to practice our verbal and our written skills, not like even more better than how we are used to with the technology. Thank you so much for your advice. And Mr. Johnson, any final advice for us also?
Yes, thank you. I was smiling when I heard Rosita talking about communication. I have a 20-year-old daughter who's in year 3 at university. And I have to say, my sentences are this long and her responses are this short. That's the way of the world. Interesting. But I want to pick up actually on what Minister Thohir, your Minister of State-Owned Enterprises, said earlier in his remarks on behalf of the President of the Indonesian Republic. You know, he used some words which I think I used in my own remarks, but he used some more. So he used the words transparency, he used the words integrity, he used the words trust, absolutely fundamental to our accounting students and aspiring professional accountants going forward. He also used the word adaptive and credibility. Absolutely, we need to be adaptive and we absolutely need to be credible. Some other piece of advice, I would pick up on what Rosita said in this question, but the previous question. Learn, learn, learn. You learn continuously throughout your career. The day you stop learning is the day basically your career will end. So please remember that it's not just passing exams and getting a good job. Life is about lifelong learning. And finally, I would say, please think about finding yourself some mentors and coaches that can help you on your journey. I'm sure the IAR has a mentoring, I don't know, but it probably has a good mentoring program in place, particularly from more senior members of the profession. Use that opportunity to learn from people who've been through what you've been through. Let them tell their stories. I really like the video from the Philippines, people showing, you know, what they're going through at this point in time. Never be afraid to share your story, because in your story, there'll be something that somebody will pick up that will be able to help you come to terms with the situation you find yourself in and give you the confidence to keep going, which was the purpose of the Philippines video. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. A lot of advice that we've gained for us as young accountants and accounting students. We'll definitely take some key pointers in our minds and we'll definitely take them and use them as our advantage and prepare ourselves. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our discussion. Thank you very much once again, Mr. Alan Johnson and Bu Rosita Ulisinaga, for joining us with this as our guests, our honorable guest speakers. And we do hope that this discussion has helped us gain even more knowledge and insights, and especially prepares us as accountants in our profession in the future. Let us join back to our main session. Kak Monica, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum.
Terima kasih,
Reynaldi.
Thank you, Mr. Alan Johnson, Ibu Rosita Ulisinaga. Thank you for sharing your valuable insight and your precious time with us here. I endorse the message from both of you. It was a fruitful discussion indeed, and I believe will benefit all of the aspiring accountants to prepare their future. So thank you again for three of you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to remind you again that the closing ceremony of APAFest 2020 will be part of FinBiz 2030 led by Chartered Accountants Worldwide and One Young World. The event will be held in conjunction with the International Accounting Day, November 10, 2020. So on November 10, 2020, we will have two sessions. The first one is APA Aspiring Session that will present Ibu Sri Mulyani, Minister of Finance of Republik Indonesia, and then the Minister of State-Owned Enterprises of Indonesia, and also the Vice Chairman of Audit Board of Indonesia. The second session is FinBiz. We will present the chairman of CAW and the chairman of One Young World, also young leaders from Indonesia, Singapore, and India. So make sure that you are well registered and do not miss the session because it is very, very special only for you, aspiring professional accountants. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite you to also join our survey about this event. The link is on the YouTube description box. You also required to input the keyword from this webinar. The keyword is future ready professional. Okay, once again, the keyword is future ready professional. The link will be expired at 18:45 Jakarta time. So do not miss the chance to join the survey and submit the keyword. Future ready professional. Now we move on to the next agenda. Is most important is the announcement of APACHEM 2020 semifinalists. And for those of you who are the semifinalists, please do not leave because we will have technical meeting after that. So is the materials ready? Because we will now hear who will be the semifinalists of APACHEM 2020. Please wait. So after the semifinal, they will go to the grand final, and then the announcement for the winner we will hold on November 10 as well. So the semifinalists of APACHEM 2020. It's on alphabetical order. The first one is Blessing, Chatrawiyasa, Enigma, Equivalent Trade Law, Goodwill Accountant, Higher Team, Laren, Minerva, Pandrita, Teamwork, Extraordinary. Congratulations for the 11 teams that go to the semifinal round for APACHEM 2020. Please join us for technical meeting right after this webinar is closed. Okay, back to me again. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of IAI, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to all of the distinguished speakers and moderator, the honorable guests and participants. Thank you for staying with us from 3 until 5. I'm Monica Nabilia. Thank you again. Stay safe, stay home, stay healthy, and do not forget your mask. Good evening and see you again, guys.